Death Stranding 2 on a handheld shouldn't work this well, but it actually does. And not just barely. In the right setup, it runs shockingly well. But there's also one setting in this game that completely ruins the experience on the Ally. And I guarantee a lot of people might still be using that. Let me show you. Now I know there are already a lot of performance videos for this game. You've probably seen them. Most of them just throw an FPS counter and say yeah it runs and move on. Or some of them don't say anything, and no shade to them, that is completely fine. But this is not that kind of video. What I wanted to figure out was what's the best way to actually play this on the Ally. Not just FPS, but which upscaler looks better in motion, whether frame generation is actually worth it, and what settings actually make sense on a handheld. Because this is not a lightweight game. Decima Engine Kojima Productions. This should be the worst case scenario for a handheld, so let's break it down. First, let's establish what we've got out of the box on the portable setup with PICO upscaling running at performance on 1080p. On the opening mountain scene in the rain, you're looking at mid to high 30s, around 37 to 38 FPS, and honestly, for a game this slow and cinematic, that's not unplayable. Death Stranding isn't Call of Duty. You're walking, you're delivering, you're taking in the atmosphere. But mid 30s, it's still mid 30s. So let's talk about upscalers because this is where things get interesting. So the ROG Ally Z1 Extreme supports 3 upscalers in Death Stranding 2, FSR3, Intel XeSS and PICO. PICO Progressive Image Compiler is Kojima Productions' own upscaler, built specifically for the Decima engine for this particular game. Now most people will just pick FSR3 because it's AMD hardware, but I tested all 3 of them and the results are not what you'd expect. On raw FPS, they're actually pretty close. FSR and PICO are basically tied. XeSS sometimes edges them out slightly, but honestly, that's the least interesting part of the conversation. Because what actually matters here is image stability in motion. Look at the bridge under XeSS. See the flickering, the shimmering of the structure? That's not the game, that's XeSS. And this is the problem with XeSS on Ally. The Z1 Extreme doesn't have Intel's dedicated matrix cores for XeSS hardware, so it falls back to DP4A path, the integer path. And on fine detail, cables, railings, distant geometry, it just doesn't hold together in motion. You get shimmering, ghosting, and the image just breaks apart when you're moving. Now yeah, technically, you can improve this a bit by using something like Upscaler, but you're still on the same hardware path. So it doesn't really fix the core issue, and honestly, it's just not worth the setup for most people. PICO is just the easier and better choice here. Because this isn't just about how image looks, it's about how stable it is when you're actually playing the game. And it's not just visuals either. XeSS frame time is also a bit less stable. You can actually feel it in motion, even if the FPS numbers look similar. So here's my final takeaway for upscalers. Use PICO, best image quality, best motion stability, solid FPS. FSR, close second, still very usable, decent fallback. XeSS, just do not use it for this particular game. It loses on image quality, motion stability, and frame time consistency. There's really no category where it actually stands out. If you're using XeSS right now, switch to PICO immediately. You'll see the difference. Now this is where the game completely changes. Turn on frame generation, FSR frame generation specifically, pair it with PICO, and suddenly you're looking at 70 to 80 FPS in open areas, around mid 60s to 70s in combat, and in the high 60s in dense jungles. And let's forget the exact frame time numbers here. What matters is how it looks. The frame time graph is flat and it's consistent. No spikes, no hitches, just smooth motion. I'm not saying it won't hitch at all. It will when you especially go in and out of menus and some instances here and there, but it's not game breaking. Now, even though frame generation adds latency, for a game like this, that added latency is not much of an issue and it actually feels completely smooth. I also tested FSR3 with FSR FrameGen And it's close, but PICO still edges it out slightly because it gives the frame generation a cleaner base image to work with. XeSS with its own frame gen, low performance, worse image quality, and still not stable. So again, skip XeSS here also. The combo you want is simple: PICO upscaling plus FSR frame generation. That's it. That's what unlocks this game on Ally. Okay, so now let's talk about settings, because frame generation gets you FPS, but what you run underneath it matters just as much. So here's the setup I landed after testing: 900p resolution, PICO on performance, FSR3 frame generation on, textures medium. This is one of the biggest visual settings, so I keep it up. Texture filtering 8x or 16x. Basically this is free performance on modern hardware, so you can max that out. Shadow quality medium, shadow resolution low. This is a smart split. You keep decent shadow detail without paying the full cost. Screen space shadows on, cheap, adds nice contact details, worth it. Ambient occlusion high. This is what actually grounds the image. It's what makes surfaces feel real. Drop this and the whole scene starts to look flat, so keep this high. Reflections low, clouds and volumetric low, biggest performance hit, very little gain on handheld screens. Level of detail and terrain medium. And here's the important part: running this at 900p with PICO on performance on the Ally screen. It looks completely fine. It's not perfect, but while playing, you're not thinking about resolutions, you're just playing the game. And to be frank, I'm actually using a capture card to play it on the big monitor and capturing this for this video. So it looks pretty good that I'm doing that, and I'm not filming the Ally from outside. So yeah, Death Stranding 2 on the ROG Ally Z1 Extreme. Did it surprise me? Yeah, it actually did. With the right settings and the right upscaler combo, this is one of the better handheld experiences I've had with a game this demanding, a genuine AAA title. And the fact that Kojima Productions build their own upscaler PICO and it actually beats the alternatives here, that's kind of the real takeaway. If this helped you out, drop a like, it genuinely helps. And if you want more ROG Ally performance breakdowns, subscribe. There's more coming. See you in the next one.